Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. My name is Isaiah Jesper. I will be solving and explaining problem 3, which is graphing a rational function. I will be going through factoring both the numerator and the denominator completely, determining all the restrictions on the domain, and identifying any intercepts, vertical asymptotes, holes, and horizontal asymptotes, and sketching the graph. First, part A is factoring both the numerator and the denominator completely. So, looking at the numerator, since it's a difference of squares, that breaks down into x plus 3 in parentheses and x minus 3 in parentheses. For the denominator, you want to look at the middle term, which is negative 5, to determine where we want to go from there. Since it's negative 5, you can split 4 into negative 4 and negative 1, because negative 1 and negative 4 equal to negative 5, and negative 4 times negative 1 equals plus 4. Now going on to B. What you want to do for part B, for determining the all restriction of the domain, is look at the denominator. For any part of the parentheses, if it equals 0, multiplying by the second part, the other part of the parentheses, it will also equal 0, and that will cause the denominator to overall be 0, and you don't want that because you can't divide by 0. So I equaled x minus 4 to 0, that'll give you x equals 4. I did x minus 1 equals 0, and that will be x equals 1. Moving over to part C. We want to look at the horizontal asymptote, the vertical asymptote, the holes, the x and y intercept. For the vertical asymptote, it's also equal to the restrictions on the domain, because the graph will come close to these x values but never cross them. For the horizontal asymptote, you want to look at the leading terms powers. For example, the leading term of the numerator, x plus 3 and x minus 3, or x squared minus 9, the power is x squared. For the denominator, it was also x squared. So, since the powers are equal, you want to look at the coefficients. And since they're both 1, the horizontal asymptote equals 1. For the whole part, I'm going to leave that to when I get to the AI part so I can better explain it. For the x and y intercept, you want to set the whole equation to 0. And since the denominator, once you multiply it by 0, it's just going to be 0, you can just set the numerator to equal to 0. So, for x plus 3 equals 0, that will leave you with x minus 3. And for x minus 3 equals 0, that will lead you to x equals 3. For the y-intercept, you want to set all x values in the equation to 0, which will leave you with 3 times negative 3 in the numerator and negative 4 times negative 1 in the denominator, which will leave you with the y-intercept of negative 9 over 4. Before I get to the graph, I'm going to go over the ChatGPT and US AI responses. So these are my prompts that I put in for the AIs. And now I'll go to part A. As you can see, my answers were pretty consistent looking at the AI answers. But it's easier to understand like where ChatGPT is saying rather than use AI, because it's more simple to read with use AI using brackets and stuff like that. Kind of infractions, kind of understand if you don't really know what you're looking at. Looking at part B, my answers are also consistent. Also, ChatGPT is just easier to read. And part C. Now for part C, as you can see, my x-intercepts, y-intercepts, y-intercept, vertical asymptotes, and horizontal asymptote were correct. But for the whole, if a factor cancels between numerator and denominator, it creates a whole. As you can see, there was no whole because the numerator and denominator didn't cancel out. And this is also consistent for use AI, but again, ChatGPT is just easier to understand. I think it has something to do with the programming. Finally, looking at the graph. Now, lastly, onto the graph. You can see the asymptotes, the vertical ones. The graph approaches them but never crosses them. But for the horizontal asymptote, the graph can cross it, but that's a special case for the horizontal asymptote, different from the vertical asymptotes. You can see the equation, the x asymptotes, and them being labeled. And that is it. That is it. Thank you for watching. It's my first time. It's hard, but I got through it. Thank you.